Hello and welcome to the Dominion Daily for November 8th, 2025. We've got base and corn guilds today. And infirmary and butcher trashing. Draw is herald and library, I guess. Well, that could be good into militia and footpad, actually. Plus actions, herald and festival, gains, artisan, festival, butcher, soothsayer. This is an interesting opening because of the possibility that the aforementioned militia/footpad attack is not actually so great later into the game with library draw. Early in the game, though, it definitely could be. In particular, it really hurts like an attempt to get a big infirmary overpay. I guess something else to mention, when I said that draw, like footpad creates draw as well. So like soothsayer draws a card, artisan draws a card, butcher, if you gain something with it, draws a card. I don't think I love opening infirmary on the 4 because even if we draw an estate with it, trash an estate, we still have an estate on top, guaranteed. But we'd trash an estate either way. But even if we also draw an estate, we still have an estate on top guaranteed, and we're not going to hit 5 off of that. And then the next turn, and I guess we might hit 5, but I think hitting 5 here looks pretty valuable. So I think it's better to go for a bigger infirmary overpay it later, despite what I just said about militia and it potentially hurting that plan. Which means I think the play is militia silver. The bot goes for the infirmary. Okay. Well, this is terrible. What, second infirmary? What? Silver is a good butcher target, so I don't necessarily mind getting silver, but I'd prefer to be getting it, or like, I don't know. Well, it might take a little while before we get to the point where we're actually able to do that. That's the problem, but okay. So here we can go for the 3 coin infirmary overpay. That triggers a shuffle in which if we draw exactly the silver that we just got, we're sad because then we have another 3 coin hand. But otherwise, we hit at least 4. The bot hasn't picked up a militia, so the alternative is that we wait a little bit longer on the infirmary and get like an artisan, potentially. If it wasn't for the fact that there's this 1 in 6 chance to have a really sad turn next turn, well, and there's like, we're only going to be able to trash 1 estate. That isn't even necessarily so bad because like butchering estates is good, but hmm. Tricky. You probably do need to do the infirmary thing. It's just there's some sad cases here, but I think it's just too important to go ahead and do it. And I think we do need to go ahead and trash estate. I guess supposing we draw into, there's a 1/3 chance that we draw an estate off the top off the third draw. So we know we're gonna trash at least 1 copper. The question is, would we actually want to keep an estate around for butcher? We don't even have a butcher yet, so I don't think so. Okay. Lucked out there. We have 2 terminals in the deck already. But I don't necessarily mind butchering the infirmary. So I think I might just go for butcher anyway. We can always buy another infirmary and overpay that. The alternative is that we get festival. I'm just not as excited about that. Okay, well. Yeah. Now getting a festival looks better. The alternative is to get something cheaper and to do another infirmary overpay. It could even just be a silver. I mean, we know we're going to draw a card. That card isn't militia. It's a decent amount of copper trashing that we're set up for. On the other hand, we are going to need actions. We could split the difference and take a herald. And that might be the play. Yeah, sure. Ooh. Interesting. So we could top deck a herald here. We could take an artisan. Herald, top decking Herald isn't that likely to do too much. Like it might, if we bottom decked our militia, it might hit the militia. That's the main thing. But it also gets another Herald into the deck, which is obviously good. Artisan's good too, of course. We have 1 estate down there, so like absolute worst case scenario, we do have 2 silvers, so we have like the worst hand that we can draw next turn is estate 3 coppers and either silver or militia, so we're gonna hit at least 5. In fact, if we keep the coffer, we're gonna hit at least 6. So what does that argue for? If we sieve the silver and the militia, then we hit with the coffer. We hit at least 7, right? Like depending on whether we see the estate or not. Like, there's the potential to do another infirmary overpay is what I'm thinking about. Maybe we do just top deck Herald. Try to increase the odds of getting a big infirmary overpay off and trashing some more copper. Okay, well, we didn't get everything, but so I mean, we know we have a copper on top, and we've got this estate here. If we do, well, we could overpay as much as 4 for infirmary. Obviously, once we trigger the shuffle, we'll draw, like, we'll have a decent chance to draw stuff that we don't want to trash. We could also spend the coffer, but keep a copper in hand. And then we know we're trashing copper estate. Alternatively, we could not spend the coffer and just trash 2 and not trigger the shuffle. And then the other option is that we don't take another infirmary yet and we take artisan. Too many options. I think getting some more copper trashing in is pretty valuable. The potential to butcher militia into artisan is there, and actually silver as well if we don't spend the coffer. I think I like not spending the coffer for that reason. Being able to butcher into artisan. And then the question is, do we trigger the shuffle and trash 3, or potentially trash 3? I guess if we're not going to spend the coffer, we trigger the shuffle. We have a silver, a butcher, and a herald down there that we wouldn't trash with infirmary, which means a 50-50 chance that triggering the shuffle doesn't do us any good. So probably we just trash 2. And maybe we even keep the estate as a butcher target. I think that's reasonable. Wait, we're going to trigger the shuffle anyway. Hold up. I kind of forgot about that. Okay, never mind. We should play the copper because we're going to draw 2 cards in the shuffle, which means the odds of us not finding one are lower. I'll do the math. All right. So yeah, now we could do silver to artisan, and then we draw the silver that we have on top. And then top deck a herald. The bot's finally got its militia. No. Is there any way that we're playing this infirmary? Doesn't seem very likely. Thinking about trashing it into a herald. Right. Okay. So we just try to stack up all the heralds at this point, possibly. Or do we want at least one festival? Festival would be pretty useful. Especially if we can hit artisan into library. I think I'm going to take the one festival. Top deck that. Grab a herald. Top deck that. We could trash the militia, gain something, and then plan to get it back. I mean, if nothing else, we could gain another herald. And it lets us draw a card, which is pretty valuable. Yeah, okay. The only thing here is if we take library, we don't get much immediate value out of it this turn. So I think I'd rather get another butcher. Top deck doesn't matter, I guess, because we're going to draw it anyway. But let's... Well, we could go ahead and take that militia. We turn a copper into a militia. Does that make sense? Well, the only thing about this is that we have Herald Copper down there. If we play Herald... Maybe we should take another Artisan. I think so. Ooh, that worked out. Nice. Okay. So now I think we do want to take the last Herald. We do have a bunch of copper as well. It would be good to clear that out. Has the bot cleared out all of its copper? No. 2 more than we have, though. And the butcher can do some work on that front, like slowly, but I don't know if that's the way that we want to approach this. It's like we could do an infirmary overpay, spending some of the coffers to clear out copper and just like top. So if we top deck a herald, we draw the copper, we top deck the herald. You play the artisan. And then we spend. We have 4 coppers in hand, and we have 4 other coins. Well, the other thing we could do is take the militia. How many heralds do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Militia would let us clear or get more coins for the infirmary trash at the cost of the bot gets the last herald, which doesn't really seem like a big problem. Yeah, I think that's fine. Okay, so now if we want to trash 4, we can't really do it. We can trash 3, but yeah, we can't trash 4. So we might as well play 1 copper. And then buy infirmary, paying 1. Or sorry, paying 3, but paying 1 coffer. 1, 2, 3. Oh, we have another buy. How about that? Oh, it's not useful. All right, we start with artisan in hand, so we get to gain that library. I think we just discard 2 heralds because we want to keep this festival. Might as well artisan first, I guess. This probably is just another festival. I want to butcher the infirmary. We do have the 1 copper left, but we can potentially butcher that too. I mean, I guess we could try to trash it. But the question is, do we want to skip it with the library? I think... We do still have a silver, right? Well, maybe we don't. Okay, never mind. I'm just trying to think of what if we infirmary trash the copper, what are we butchering? Possibly a gold from Soothsayer. If we can gain one of those. Yeah, okay. I think I'm gonna set this aside. Set this aside too. I mean, one of the reasons to do this is just to have the herald targets. This I'll keep. Keep. We want targets, like I said, so I think set this aside. Set that aside, set that aside. We underdrew, but that's okay. Yeah, alright, so now... I think... So our terminals are going to be... We can't get a Soothsayer, play a Soothsayer, and play both Butchers and the Militia because we're going to keep drawing the cards and not being able to herald them. We We didn't set aside enough cards, ironically, with the library. We could take another festival and then just not butcher the gold this turn. Well, we can take the festival, but we can't play the Soothsayer. So we just don't... Yeah, I think... I mean, if we play both butchers, we could butcher the copper into... I guess there's no reason to butcher copper over Infirmary, though. Might as well aim for that next turn or something. Yeah, I think there's very little reason for this not to be a festival. Well, the other thing we could do is butcher Militia into Footpad. Footpad is just like a better version of Militia. And it nets us a coffer still. Yeah, okay. And this makes it easier for us to butcher the... They discarded Artisan? Maybe they're planning to just Herald into it. Okay, so... This is going to be tricky because if we don't... If we add too many stop cards like Festival, we risk failing to draw. Also, I was saying that about... Oh, we have more coffers now. We can butcher the copper next turn, but like maybe we want to spend some of them. Like I do... I'm thinking like Festival Artisan looks kind of good. And then like we can always butcher Artisan into Province, but we can also use Artisan to gain Library. We could also just go Festival Library directly if we want a second Library. I don't know if we do though. Like given the desire to set things up with Herald, as we just saw. Getting another Festival, I think, makes a lot of sense. We probably should take one more Library. We've already got 2 Artisans and 2 Butchers. That's a lot of gains. We can always butcher a Library if we don't need that as well, I suppose. It's just like, it's a little less constraining than having to gain the Library with Artisan. Okay. Do we play Herald first? I think we do. Well, that's ironic. Alright, yes, I want to keep at least 1 Herald. Artisan... Yeah, we can use that to gain another Festival. Okay, yeah, I'll keep that. And that. Yep, okay, all of that. Yeah, 1 Artisan to gain a Festival seems good. Does this matter? Probably not. Both of the butchers are down there. Would like to do the soothsayer thing this turn. We draw into the butcher right now. I don't know what we would gain with it. That's like the main issue. But maybe the plan isn't to butcher twice anyway. Again, that copper, it's hard to get rid of. Does the bot have any copper left? Yep, it has one too, as well. I guess even butcher copper to copper has some value here, arguably. Like cycles a card. Alright, I'm just going to play that. Alright, well, that worked out. So now we have two butchers. Wait, did we discard a butcher? Did we? No, Footpad Herald. We have two butchers. And... 1, 2, 3, 4. I think there's another two. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Two butchers, a herald, and something down there. Well, actually, we'll draw a card if we gain not only the soothsayer, but also the gold will draw us a card. I think I don't. The only thing I can think to do with this copper is turn it into a silver. I mean, I guess infirmary would be okay too. But it might be better to just have coffers stored up than bother with that. We could also trash the library. We don't particularly need it this turn, right? Like, if we trash the library, we draw a card. We have 4 cards in the discard. We play a couple heralds. Assuming we take an action card, then at worst, we hit once. So we see 3 of those 4 cards, and then we butcher. We can butcher again. I guess if we specifically but we can't fail. We could end up with the gold on as the last card, I guess, is the thing that could happen. That's probably not the end of the world. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna do this. Alright, so turn the gold into a province, I was about to say, but what if we did turn the copper into a silver? We'd still be able to double province. And then we'd have gold into province gets us province plus something else. I'm not sure what the something else would be. It could be another library, I guess, to replace the one we just butchered. Yeah, that probably makes more sense. We could buy another festival, but I don't think it actually makes sense. Guess we're just discarding the Herald here. Sure, we'll keep the other library. Butcher. I think we actively want to find the non-action cards here. Maybe we set this aside. Herald, though. And the Artisan. Herald, sure. Keep the Artisan, okay. Alright, now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I want to keep the Butcher so that I can butcher province to province. Alright, do we want to just gain the remaining festivals? Probably. Butcher province to province twice. And then we need 3 provinces. Artisan gaining festival is probably the most efficient thing for Artisan to do. Okay. Well, that was fine, I guess. I didn't consider, at no point when I was thinking about the Soothsayer Footpad interaction did I consider that I might just hit them in the wrong order. Well, we're trying to end the game this turn anyway, so it shouldn't matter too much regardless. I think we go Herald first. Maybe that was incorrect. I don't think it's going to matter. This library doesn't do anything, but that's okay. Maybe we could have just butchered that instead of the province. But that's okay. Yeah, so it's a very thinky kingdom, or like fiddly kingdom, so it took me a long time to play, but like not a lot of turns. It's a pretty, I mean, it's not like the fastest kingdom in the world, but it's pretty fast considering that there's like a hand size attack, like not necessarily a ton of terminal space. The trashing is like a little difficult. The draw is a little wonky. Like there's a lot of stuff that's not like super straightforward deck control, but it comes together pretty nicely nonetheless. I mean, Footpad definitely contributes to that in a significant way. Although, without Footpad, Library would just become more important. I think you would still end up with a roughly similar deck, but it would take a little bit longer to get off the ground because, like, in the early game, you wouldn't be drawing those extra cards with Artisan and Butcher, and you'd be more dependent on finding the library, and it would be more difficult to find the library. The bot never got a library. Oh no, it did. Wait, when did it do that? It got a. Oh, okay? It was just here. It trashed a curse into a library. I was like, I don't remember it ever playing one. Yeah, so I mean, you don't necessarily absolutely need to play with it, but I think having at least one library here is good, even if like the first time I played the library, I ended up not wanting to draw that many cards, and I like didn't discard enough and ended up not having enough terminal space. But that was before I added a bunch of festivals. Actually crazy that I ended up with 8 festivals and the bot ended up with 2, and I also had 6 heralds, the bot's 4. Like, the bot's deck was not going to be capable of doing a whole lot here with this limited amount of terminal space. I never did trash that copper. Oh well. It's alright. Yeah, pretty interesting kingdom, I would say. I'm not totally sure about how I got going to begin with. Like, I do think that I don't love the infirmary on 4-3. I super don't love the bot's opening of infirmary. But like, that aside, like, I think I'd be happier to do the infirmary open on a 3-4 where I had a silver in the shuffle, because even though like I might draw the silver, if I didn't, then I'd be, potentially hitting 5 that next turn. But yeah, the one card trash on, like, sometimes that kind of thing is really nice with infirmary, but I think on this board there's just not enough good stuff to take at the beginning that's cheap to make that appealing. Like, obviously, like, Herald is a card that you want a lot of, but right at the beginning, if you take Heralds, they're not really doing anything. You really want to be able to hit 5 or 6. And then the other thing is that, like, in the early part of the game, it's hard to generate terminal space, and so having to play the infirmary rather than overpay for the infirmary is is awkward. You want to be spending your terminal space otherwise. I think I didn't actually ever play an infirmary this game. I think I just overpaid like 3 times to trash 9 out of 10 starting cards. Let's see. And part of that is because I happened to draw the infirmary and the butcher at the same time in whatever shuffle that was, but so we did 3 card infirmary trash here, and then got the butcher shuffled, and then immediately saw butcher infirmary. So that's like, I could have easily ended up playing infirmary this shuffle, but didn't pan out that way. Here we buy another 3 card infirmary, and then butcher the infirmary there, and then there's the final 3 card infirmary overpay, and then at some point, here it gets butchered again. So, and I think that works better on this board. Like, obviously, eventually I had plenty of terminal space. Like, on this last turn, I had plenty of terminal space, but even then, I didn't like really have that much terminal space to actually play terminal actions out of my hand until like, where was it? It's basically like, I gained the festivals at the artisan, but that was just like breaking even. And then it was like here, it was like herald into festival. and then play a couple of festivals. It's like, okay, now I have plenty of terminal space. Well, up until that point in that turn, I didn't. And like in general, I think it was pretty constrained most of the way through. Enough to do what I wanted, but like adding the infirmary on top was almost like, when I had that option, was almost always like, no, this isn't worth it. So yeah, I think circling back to talking about the opening, I think that's why I don't like the infirmary opening. I could maybe see it on a 5-2. A 5-2. I mean, you'd be pretty sad if you didn't draw 2 estates, but the 2 coin hand is really bad, so you might just get that anyway. I mean, you could also just open Butcher, which would be pretty good too. It might be better, but I think it would, at least the infirmary open option would be better on a 5-2 than it would be on a 4-3, and even probably on the 3-4. But yeah. So, other than that, I don't know. Hardbot, it like got the 2 infirmaries, then it got a herald. Then it got nothing. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Then it got a festival as its first 5 with a herald and 2 infirmaries in the deck. So I think this should just be Butcher. Like, especially with Footpad on the board, just start butchering those infirmaries. I think that's just better. I mean, the festival here does do work in like letting the infirmaries trash copper, but you only hit 4. I mean, getting heralds is good. This deck just still isn't like doing very much. Get another herald, and so you're still like, the payload in your deck is still like a festival. It's just not doing very much. And then you get the militia. So now you've got a festival and a militia. That's your payload. It's like still not that impressive. And then this is like where they finally get the artisan. So then the deck starts to do a little bit more. But yeah, I think that's too long, like, to wait on the best payload cards on the board. Those being artisan and butcher. I mean, militia is good too, but these are better. Anyway. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.